All right, I'm excited, Terry. Thank you so much for joining. Man, I'm truly excited. Okay, I truly appreciate you joining in, coming up, giving me some time. Let's
No,
start with this off, right?
yep.
Um, for those of you, those who don't know who you are, why don't you give a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then let's go back to who you were before marketing and SEO, the your previous life, if you will. So maybe you start there.
Okay, sure. I'm Terry Samuels, and I own with my wife Elizabeth Salterra Digital Services, and it's a true family business. It's my wife and I, and three, well, I'll say two and a half of my five kids. I've got one that's working part time. Um, so truly a family business. We're celebrating our 14th year this coming January. And I'm an old software developer guy, so that's how I got started in software development. You know, the old HTML, CSS, Dreamweaver websites. That's kind of still my jam. I still love Dreamweaver. Um, and then I got kind of into marketing on the SEO side about 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago. Basically, just had a client of mine that I just finished a website. Back then I specialized in churches, charities, and foundations. And so I had one of my foundations, a cancer foundation, that was spending a whole bunch of money for this thing called SEO. And so I went to go look at it and see what it was. It intrigued me because it was kind of on the technical side. I love the technical side. I'm not a design guy, so I'm like Google. I don't care what the site looks like.
Mhm.
But the biggest thing I think is that, I was able to find something new that not very many people knew about. I mean, this was, people have been doing optimization, we'll call it. And not because I don't think it was because of search or because of Google. This is kind of right around when Google was even getting started. So, anyways, I started just playing around with this. I didn't charge this foundation any money because I was learning it, so to speak. And then I had a
Mhm.
guy come to me about a year later, and an insurance agent at church, and he said my website's completely disappeared from the internet. And I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be fun. So that was when the first Google Animal came out, and talking to him, he'd been buying links, packages of links, and
Right.
some were good, some were bad. The whole thing that everybody was doing back then. So my truly first client was getting somebody out of a penalty. So
Wow. This was
um,
2014 timeframe, you said?
it was right about, he was in and out. So when the animal, I don't even know the exact date of the animal. I never even paid attention. It was a panda, was the first one. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was somewhere around that time frame, and we didn't have only tool we had was the disavow tool, and I didn't even
Right.
know what that was. So, there wasn't any instructions.
Yeah.
Google
Yeah.
doesn't give any instructions about anything.
Right.
So, and there wasn't obviously the software we had today to find all these links. So, I learned Google Search Console real quick, and that was really the only links that we would have record of. There was some tools that came out, or were starting to come out, and you can get a little bit more link data.
Mhm.
But that was my first one, and he's still my client today. Matter of
Wow.
fact, we're having lunch today. Um,
Wow. That's
he,
awesome.
he's one of my biggest fans, and it took us about 13 months to get him out of penalty. And when he came
Wow.
out of penalty, he literally shot up. He called me one morning. He said, "Have you seen the rankings?" And I was like, "No." And this is back when rankings were very, very kind of prime, just really
Right.
primitive. Anyways, he was ranking for like 300 terms on the first page just
Wow.
overnight. And so that was pretty cool. And so I started dabbling in it more and more. I was still at that time more focused on the development side. I was a HIPAA certified developer, so I was doing a lot of um, little mini pharmacies in small
Right.
towns, where CVS and Walgreens isn't at. These small town doctors and pharmacies wanted to be able to do stuff electronically and connect to the EMR and all that stuff. So I was still really super having fun in that business. I was just enjoying the heck out of it. Elizabeth at that time had come on the design side, so she was taking care of all the new websites. And then I just started getting into, for my own personal thing, I wanted to make sure that I could rank websites. So I went out and I got about 15 test sites. 15 different domains. You know, some were HTML, some were not mobile compliant, some were, you know, they were all over the map, but it gave me a good foundation to test stuff on. And then obviously Saltera site, my main site, was the one that I used, you know, for my testing results to see if it worked in real life. And then I just, after that, about 6 months after that, right about 2015, I think I was full blown into it. That's when I went out and just started doing all kinds of stuff. I was, you know, taking anybody and everybody. Like, I didn't care. I didn't care if you owned a local bakery or you were a plumber. I was just taking everything. But it was fun back then. You know, it really was. And I tell people a lot of times the difference between today and back then, it was fun. You could do things. You didn't have, there was really no negative SEO. So you really didn't have people that were, you know, attacking you on purpose like today.
It was a 7-pack back then. I got in 2014. It's funny that quite a few people, 2014, 15 timeframe is when their career path took a different direction. That was the time.
Exactly. So, you know, and then comes along Facebook, and you know, now everybody's in SEO.
Yeah. My mother, everybody and their mother-in-law is in SEO, right?
So, but that's basically my journey. So we've been, you know, we have 2 separate divisions. We have the SEO, or the marketing side. We do a lot more than SEO. And then we have the design and branding side that Elizabeth runs. We will always be a web design house. That's always our priority. I actually get to pick and choose what I want from Elizabeth's side to come over to my side. I'm very particular nowadays, like you are, with who we take on as clients. We've all learned the lesson, you know, that $500 a month person is just a major pain in the ass.
Totally.
But yeah, that's how I get started. I'm passionate about teaching, and that kind of goes from my past before SEO or before web design. I love teaching people stuff, and that's, you know, and helping. I've always had a helpful spirit.
So that's awesome. No, I love that. Thank you for that. So you got into SEO, you have web design, your wife takes care of that, and then you got SEO. Do you also have a software, you said?
We have a couple different things. Nothing that's out public. We have a couple different plugins that we have for internal stuff. Especially around the schema world, which most people know that's kind of my area, on page and schema. But I think it's but I have SEOuniversity.net where I teach classes. I have a course there that I built for schema, so I do sell stuff there. But it was more for a place people can go to learn SEO, like a one-stop shop. So I've got a lot of stuff in that market happening that's I'm hoping to have an easy December. I'm hoping to have an easy December, so I can, you know, put the university together.
Got it.
So I really want people to have a place to go to that, you know, and there's other SEOs going to be involved in it. So if they want to learn link building, you know, I'm not a link builder. I do links, I sell links, but I will never claim to be a link guy. I'm a content guy. I've always been on page. That's always been my jam. But yeah, so that's just, you know, for the university, you know,
then you have, apart from the university and the course, you also have, so you have the agency, you got the course side, at least a little bit of that, some private plugins that you guys use for your own agency. And then what else do you have? You have a conference or a couple of them?
Yeah, we have SEO spring training. This will be the one coming up next year in May, will be our 6th one. We've also done probably 8 or 10 different masterminds. You know, we like the private masterminds. We do a lot of stuff like that. And it's just, again, it's all just to build the network. You know, the network in this business is the gold. And it's something that I knew from the beginning. And back then, you know, I really didn't get into meeting people in this business until I started watching Rand Fishkin's Whiteboard Fridays. You know, I mean, that was my calendar every week, Whiteboard Fridays. And that's how I started kind of seeing who else was in his little group and talking to people. And, you know, I ran across, you know, Job Killing, OMG, all these other things out there. But I never really got into those type of, you know, paid groups like that back then. And then you know, when I started looking at, you know, how do I want to take this into the next level. I really didn't want to be a SEO house just because there's too much fluctuation. You know, there's like I woke up this morning, 2 of my maps are suspended. Nobody's touched these maps in at least a month.
I know. Hey there, if you're enjoying this content, I'd love to take just 60 seconds of your time and share something very close to my heart. You see, I was born in the beautiful country of Sri Lanka. I was fortunate to escape the civil war that plagued that country for many years. While the country has enjoyed peace for 15 years now, the effects of that conflict are still deeply felt, especially by children who lost their parents, siblings, entire families. But I'm not just here to ask for a donation. I'm here offering something valuable in return, an incredible opportunity that could positively impact your own life. I partnered with over a dozen top-tier industry experts in SEO, online marketing, direct mail, YouTube ads, copywriting, entrepreneurs, and more. These aren't just any experts. They are 7- and 8-figure business owners. They've built multi-million-dollar businesses. But more importantly, each of them have also helped countless people achieve success. By supporting this cause, you'll not only be making a difference to these children, but you'll also gain access to exclusive knowledge, secret trainings from these industry leaders. As a matter of fact, I was able to even twist their arm to give away exactly what's working right now on YouTube ads, in search engine optimization, and even in depth in things like how to get clients, schema markup, cold email, a lot more. Some of them even agreed to give one-on-one mentorship and group coaching opportunities to those who donate, all available to those who support this charity. Click the link to join the waiting list where you'll get access to all this training and more. On October 29th, you will receive an email with a link to donate and unlock this exclusive content. Thank you again. With maps and GMBs, I'm at a point too, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm at an age, Terry, and I'm sure you'll agree with that. It's like building your business on a deck of cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the way GMBs and maps and just Google's going. No, that's fine. So go ahead. So
yeah.
Okay, go ahead. And
so that's why I've always said that we'll always focus on the web design side. I think the web design side, there's still 40+% of businesses out there that don't have a website.
Yeah.
So, there's still a lot of room for growth there. There's growth with the SEO side, but I think the SEO side, at least for us, is, like I said, it's going to be, who can I work with?
Right.
I want to work with a business owner. You can't hire me and never talk to me. That's not me.
Right.
If that's what you want, you need to go somewhere else. But I like the partnership stuff. I'm doing a lot more rev shares. I'm doing a lot more, strategic type of payment stuff. Just because, again, if I'm going to spend the time, energy, and effort to rank you and get you all this income, now it's time for me to get a
as much as
piece of
possible. Right. So most of it is client SEO and variations like a growth, I call it growth partnership or like a revenue share.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do any PPL?
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely got a lot of lead gen sites, especially for Solterra. I think Solterra alone has 13 lead gen sites throughout the country.
Which one again?
Solterra, my agency. Okay. I have a lot of lead gen sites for my agency. I also have 6 affiliate sites. Okay. I love affiliate. Actually, somebody in an interview I had yesterday, somebody asked me what's my goal in this business, and it's to flip websites. That's really all I want to do is flip websites. I think that is
so buy websites from what is that? What was the websites where you can buy those from these different portals where they sell these websites or bring them yourself and build it up to get more traffic and then monetize it a little bit more and then flip it. Okay, let's go down the route. I'd love to go down the route because I've never done that. I've always explored that. I've never done that. I've always been local, right? Local SEO clients and rank and rent and what I call growth partner, which is a revenue share with a couple of clients, right?
Yeah.
Is your affiliate more Amazon affiliate? What is it exactly? Or is it like a mix of Amazon and something else or?
Yeah, Amazon and a mixture of, I love a system called Skimlinks, and Skimlinks will let you, pick different things as far as different products you want to sell. My affiliates have been in very nice niches, so like pets, scooters, paddle boards, that type of stuff. And I think it's the most fun for me because, you know, I mean, yeah, we get to make a little bit of our own money for us, but I think more importantly, it gives a better, I think you can become better SEOs. I do,
With that?
you know, I've learned more from my affiliate sites of what I can do and not do than
Really?
I ever did on my local sites. So,
Wow.
and I think just because they're looked at it differently, you know, I
Do
think.
you start these from ground up, or do you buy these from Empire Flippers or Flipper or anything like that? Or
Well, that's the thing. We always bought, we've been buying auction domains for years. My son's been doing that since he was 14 years old. So every time we buy an auction domain, we look at it, we say, okay, it's going to be one of four things. It's going to be a PBN, not really, PBN's a
right?
bad name. It's not a public
Yeah, exactly.
network.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be a lead gen, or it's going to be affiliate, or we're just going to flip the domain. So, you know, we have those decisions every time we buy a domain. And we also buy domains within niches. So like I'm in the pet niche, and so we buy a lot of pet domains. And so always auction. I've never bought a completed website. Well, I take that back. I did buy one completed website, but the way it was built was just trash. I was so upset. I think
You
I
had to probably
paid,
redo the whole thing.
yeah, redo the whole thing. I think I paid, you know, what, like 7 or 8 years ago, I think I paid like $5,000 for this site.
Wow.
And that included an age domain and everything. But it was one of the things that, you know, I thought I could just buy a whole bunch of domains people already did and kind of
Right.
repurpose them, re-rank them, whatever. But that was kind of an eye-opening thing for me. So I was like, okay, forget that. Why am I doing that anyways? I've got my own web design team. You know, I
Right.
can, and so
So you do a lot of auction domains, it looks like.
with not as many as we used to, but yeah, we still buy a lot of auction domains.
I remember a Facebook post, I'm pretty sure it was you, maybe a year or two ago, saying auction domain plus GMBs is like a gold mine,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So do you still do that where you buy auction domains and build out GMBs for lead gen sites locally?
Well, the biggest thing with buying auction domains, and what I meant by that post, is that a lot of those domains have a GMB attached that's just sitting there. So
Okay.
we would go and claim that GMB that was attached to that domain. We wouldn't
Gotcha.
create a new, well, we would create a new GMB, but if that domain had a GMB attached, we'd go claim it. And so
All
it
right,
would be like
this is good stuff. I love that. I mean, I could talk to you all day long, and I probably might, right?
thing.
Let's take it step by step. So in your agency side, we'll come to affiliate, but your agency side with your company, your Solterra Digital Services, you take on clients who you want to take on, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Obviously, you do SEO, decide on the services, keywords, and start ranking and all that.
Yep.
What is it you're seeing now? You know, SEO has changed over the years. SEO has changed over the months. SEO has changed, like you said, yesterday to today, right? It's
Mhm.
almost like
Yeah.
that. What are you seeing that's maybe working now that you're using now, and maybe you stop using anything around those? Can you just give some insights?
Sure. And this is where I kind of get in a little gray area with some people. So, I think the biggest thing, and I've always been on this track, but I think it's even more today than ever because of AI. I
Mhm.
think that content right now, if you aren't really doing great content, you're going to get run over. And only because of we've got to get our little plumber noticed with all the wrath of AI content being loaded every second of every single day. We've got to somehow put a spotlight on our plumber to say, hey, come crawl me. Our biggest challenge is the crawl. That's the biggest thing we have right now. And you know, we first of all, we really don't have any idea how often it comes. I say if you're lucky, it comes every couple of weeks if you're a local business. And how often do you have? You know, I mean, you've got how many pages are they going to crawl? We don't get this information, but I can, you know, we all do through testing and everything else. We can kind of gauge when something was crawled if we got some, you know, indexing is one
Let
thing.
me interrupt you. Sorry. So when you say it crawls every 2 weeks, yes, we don't know when they're going to crawl.
Yeah.
But do you ever force index anything? Put it in Google
Oh
Search
yeah.
Console?
Yeah, we use Omega indexer. You know, I force stuff
Yeah.
through Search Console. I force stuff through the Google Search Console API. Yeah,
And you said you
we
use
always
AI or you don't use AI content?
oh yeah, we use AI content, but
All right.
one of the things, Elizabeth and I and a couple of our friends from the network, we went to Orlando back in October, and we went to a conference called Learn Chat or Master ChatGPT in a Weekend.
Okay.
Great. Let's go to Orlando, have some fun. Anyway, so I walk in there, the very first speaker, talked a little bit about, large language models and scrapers and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. Anyways, it was probably the worst conference I ever went to, mainly because every single speaker gave you this much and then upsell. The ticket was super cheap. It was like $150 to go. So we knew there was going to be some upsell. That's, we just didn't realize it was that bad. But anyways, during that conference, one thing I figured out with ChatGPT, because I just started asking it about me and my brand, tell me about Saltera. What do you know about Saltera? What do you know about Terry Samuels? And it was very, hit and miss, obviously. This is back when ChatGPT 3 or I don't know, can't remember the first one. Anyways, so I figured out, I was like, okay, well, how about if I tell it about me and then scrape, and so I really figured out that day that if you, and I think this is the same with all AI tools, is if you introduce your brand, your person, your stuff to the product before you start asking it questions, now you're going to get much better personalized content. And so I mastered ChatGPT that weekend, and I came back and I got with my content team. We were still buying content. We were still paying 15 to 20 bucks an article,
right.
Buying 2 or 3 a month for each client, the same old BS everybody was doing. And it was frustrating because one thing that I've done a lot of testing on is writing in clusters, and I do that on the schema side especially. And I wanted to do that on my client side, but it was too expensive. It was literally, I would spend $400, $500 on one client a month for content, and that's not sustainable. So anyways, when I figured out this ChatGPT thing, I picked one of my big clients. He had an IT business in Philadelphia, has a bunch of them in 4 or 5 different states. And so I did this whole thing with him, introduced ChatGPT to his brand, to him personally. He's an author, he's written books and all this stuff. And I wrote 30 articles for him about IT security, getting an IT.
Using ChatGPT.
Using ChatGPT.
Okay.
And I sent it to him and I said, hey, this is just the first test. Nobody's seen this stuff outside Saltera, but please tell me what you think. And he came back. Actually, he texted me. He goes, can you talk right now? And I was like, sure. And I picked up the phone. And he goes, damn, dude. He goes, this stuff is better than I have on my current website. And it's all accurate. And I was like, cool. So I get really excited. So now I'm going to my content team, and we actually hired all the content writers that I was paying to write content and brought them in as, basically editors now. So but anyways, that was the start of the difference between what we're doing today compared to what we were doing then. I have gone in Saltera, and I've probably went from $10,000 a month in backlink costs, whether it be my own network, buying some backlinks from whoever, legit or whatever, to about $1,500 a month now. So
because you are more into the content.
More into the content, we're writing around clusters, and we're gaining backlinks naturally.
So you use content for local, we're not talking affiliate right now, just local, your clients, right?
Yep.
Can you throw some light? What do you mean by clusters? So let's say I'm a plumber, or whatever, tree service or dentist, and I have these different services, right? You are putting up the service pages, you're putting up blogs, I'm assuming.
Yep.
When you say clusters, what are you talking about exactly?
So I've always been teaching people to not write around keywords, but write around queries. So one of the really great things about Search Console is we get a whole bunch of query information of how people search, depending on, doesn't really matter where we place as far as rankings, but we get credit for those queries. And so when you go in and you say, okay, and this was all the topical relevant stuff. The topical relevant stuff we've been doing in schema forever, knows abouts and mentions, those type of things. That's when we were writing about entities and semantics and all that stuff. Well, now that's mainstream, which is kind of curious, which is cool. But you can just take the topical relevant maps, and there's some really good ones out there. And you can just put in a tankless hot water heater, and it'll come up with 150 different types of page titles in groups of 10. It talks about location of, it'll talk about using solar with, all these different things. So excuse me. So we'll write a cluster around tankless hot water heaters. And so it's all like a hub. So the center of the hub is the money page, the main tankless hot water heater page. But we will write anywhere between 10 to 20 supporting articles, depending on the queries for that system. And they'll all be interlinked together, and they'll all be interlinked to the center of the hub. So what we found by doing this is if the tankless hot water heater service page ranks for 15 keywords and you want to rank for 50 keywords or more, you either have to add a lot more content to that service page, which gets to be monotonous, or you need to be writing supporting content with internal linking to that page. And so the very first test we did with this was with a plumber. It was tankless hot water heater. It's an upsell. I charged $400 for this cluster, and which was really cheap back then. But that tankless hot water heater, I think it was 17 keywords at the beginning, but now it was, after the first 45 days, it was like 105 keywords this page.
The whole sub cluster of pages ranking for that. So I call them sub pages. We do it for our clients, right? I love it. How do you get those queries? What we do is basically do our own manual research, right? Sometimes what is that? People ask, what is that?
People also ask.
Answer the public, whatever, right? Or just Google gives us the people asking questions blogs, or we look into competitors, right, through Ahrefs and all that. Do you have a software to use it? Do you come up with those queries manually?
Well, the queries start with Google Search Console, and we use Looker Studio because I can manipulate those queries to just what I want to see. If I want to see anybody that searched for Terry, these are all the queries that showed up for Terry.
What do you use again?
Google Search Console.
Oh, okay.
And then, but it's connected to Looker Studio, which used to be Data Studio.
Google. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's we've always had online reporting dashboards, so it was just an easy piece to put in there. But once you start teaching people how to write around queries, people also ask, those type of things, you start seeing results much quicker. So but the biggest thing that we like about the clusters is I can write one thing about tankless hot water heaters 1 month, and we only do it on the return on investment. With my clients, I wouldn't do one for a toilet leak. Plumbers don't make any money on toilets. Plumbers make money on water heaters and tankless hot water heaters and slab leak repair and that type of stuff. So, but I think it's now become fun with, especially my medical spas. One of the first questions they'll ask me is, "Hey, what cluster can we do now?" Well, we've done Botox, we've done, and so
it's so funny you mentioned that, because I'm now into medical spas the last few months, and I'll share with you what I'm doing. I'm seeing results. You being a technical guy, you probably tested out. I was using ChatGPT for the same sub pages. I started using Google Gemini. The first time I used that, put a couple of these pages. The first week we got 3 leads for a medical spa term. Gosh, I forgot the name, right? The service. I was surprised. Then I tested it out in another medical spa, and like the leads, I don't know if it's Google favoring Gemini, Google's AI tool content or not. Like, maybe around something around that. I want to test it out. I was surprised.
Yeah, and I'm obviously, I think Google is very biased. I mean, you can just look at Google Analytics and see how biased it is. And so, of course, I think they would give their own tool a system. I test Gemini and Claude all the time. I just don't like the output compared to the personalization. Now we are testing other stuff. Like I quadrupled down when Mueller came out and said that Google doesn't pay attention to FAQs. Bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
Yes. We now have FAQs on every
we have the same thing. Awesome. Love it. Yes.
And we use author boxes again. So, and we don't say about us, we say why trust us. So and the author boxes are the same on every page, and that's what I'm linking to my GBPs. is inside that author boxes.
Yeah, anytime Google announces something, I pretty much test it out to make sure, because you can just do the opposite.
Yeah.
So I love it, right? The question that you answered was what is new that you're doing now compared to before. I love the answer on AI and ChatGPT, because one of the things I get asked a lot, and I even think people are teaching this, and I don't know how true or false it is Google penalizing AI content.
Yeah. Google, I personally believe that if Google knew, it doesn't care. I think there's still the misconception that Google can read. Google can't read. It's looking for specific signals.
Yep.
So yeah, if they turned on some AI detector to go after words like furthermore, conclusion, you know, all those little tag words that we all know are kind of AI driven, because people don't talk that way. You know, it's just, I think it's, again, you know, why would Google penalize itself? You know, this data is all coming from Google. You know, these large language models, that's where they're getting the data from. They're not going to Yahoo.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's so true.
So, you know, so for them to penalize something that, I think it's just a matter of, again, you know, 8 of the last 12 updates last year were all around content.
Content,
all of them. So Google's suffering. Google's having a problem with, you know, data right now.
Yes.
You know?
Google, if it doesn't fix itself, we all may be forced to look into something else. I'm thinking the way it's going.
Oh, it's, you know, that their storage issue alone has to be a freaking nightmare, you know. And this is from a technical guy. All this content on Google has to be stored somewhere.
Exactly.
You know, and I just did a presentation a couple weeks ago in Myrtle Beach that there's a new website now every 3 minutes. Well, yesterday I did that. So I went back to that same article. It's now every 1 minute. So just in 3 weeks, with AI, people are creating new websites that quick. Wow. And unfortunately, 90% of them is crap. It's just junk. And so Google needs to find a way to weed through the junk to get to the good stuff. And so
love it. Awesome. What are you doing around? How are you getting most of your clients? Do you have like an outbound reaching? Is it word of mouth right now?
You know, it really depends. So I have a big white label side. I've been doing white label for 5 years now, especially around the schema side. I get most of my leads through referrals, through talks. People see me on YouTube, that type of stuff. Now, here's my big disclaimer. Soltera sucks at front side. And it's something that Elizabeth and I have been working on all years to get a predictable lead source that we can start forecasting with. So whether it be Facebook ads, you know, we get a lot of organic stuff, but you can't forecast that. You can't say, hey, I'm going to get 10 leads a month consistently for 5 months or whatever. And as an agency owner, especially one that's in a growth pattern like we are, we have to be able to forecast. So I think last month I got 11 new clients last month. Well, I couldn't forecast that. So I needed to hire quickly, you know, so we've got a pretty awesome hiring process. But if I was in a forecasting model, I could forecast hiring more efficiently.
So are you doing anything for paid acquisition or outbound or somewhere where it is not,
right now
depending on organic?
Yeah, we're doing some stuff around paid ads. We're doing a lot of retargeting tests right now. I'm really on this retargeting kick because, you know, one of the things I try to tell people is if you pick up a website that's already getting 1,000 hits, web page, then your first job is to increase conversions. It's not to rank for more terms. It's to, if that person's getting 5 leads a month out of those 1,000 hits, and now all of a sudden you do some conversion optimization, now they're getting 10 or 15 for those same 1,000, you just became a hero. So, you know, that's always and that's me. I do that with all my clients. No other staff member does that. So staff is doing other stuff, you know, getting content ready, whatever. You know, I'm looking at how I can better conversions to get them more leads from their current traffic.
What percentage of your staff is in the US? What percentage is maybe Philippines or outsourced?
I think US, we have 5 people, which obviously includes my kids. And then overseas, we probably have 17 to 20. So,
And you said you got 11 new clients last month. So do you have like a dedicated salesperson talking to those clients, like client relationship?
it's all me. And that's one of the things that, one of the things in my org chart that has a big red circle around it is somebody to take that stuff over. So,
Take that, yeah. That's something I find too, where your time just goes in client conversations, existing client conversations, new, potential. Okay, I like that.
But I like it too. I like, because one of the things that you have to qualify for me to take you on. I'm not a guy that you can say, give me $1,500 and you're going to be my client. I really pay a lot of attention to what I'm getting involved in.
So do you have like an average price point? Is that how you go by?
Not really. Everything's priced separately. Especially, and you probably get these too. By the time I get most of these clients, they've been through 3 or 4 other SEOs.
Right.
And so the very first month's conversation is I got to get it back to 0 just to get a starting point.
Yeah.
And so I always, whatever the monthly is, I double that the first month, because I know that's the first 2 months of any project is going to be 80% of the work with us.
Exactly. Yes.
And so, because we set a solid foundation. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
So do you put that across to the business owner and get him to pay double the first month, the second month?
Yep.
And so it's a learning process for most of them, because they're all like, wait, everybody else at 1,000 a month, and you're saying 6,000 the first 2 months, and then 3,
Yep.
Do you have like a process around educating him? Is it just a couple of Zooms
it's all depends on the discovery. So one of the things that I figured out a long time ago is the discovery call, or whatever you want to do. That's the most important part. And you really find out there's 2 things you have to find out. One is, why are you calling me today and not yesterday or 2 weeks ago? What's happened? And you have to be honest with me, because if you're not, the call's done.
Right.
I don't like surprises. I don't like, oh, by the way, I had my brother's daughter do my SEO. Why didn't you tell me that? So anyways, and the second thing you need to find out is, what is your freaking cash flow like, Mr. Business Owner? Are you going to be broke in 4 months? If you're going to be broke in 4 months, and we're not talking SEO, we're talking pay-per-click. You need to get leads in now. And so I think by educating business owners of saying, look, SEO is the best, but it's also the slowest. Right. So, where we used to be able to rank stuff in 3 months, I tell people it's 6 to 9.
It takes a month to get indexed, first of all.
Totally. I mean, that's the whole thing. And, but once you explain, I think being honest and open with business owners, especially ones that are in dire need, is so important. You can't coddle them. I'm very strict. I have if you don't have a monthly strategy call with me, and by the second month, you're gone. I don't care if you're doing great or not. Because again, I build partnerships. We're in this together. If you want me to just be the marketing guy, I want 30% of the business. That's the way it works.
Okay, wow. And what percentage of them agree to this if they want 30%?
It really depends. I don't talk profit share right out of the gate, just because I want to get to know the person. My very first profit share I had such a good relationship with this guy. It was a pool fence company. And all of a sudden, about 3 months later, here comes his wife. And oh my gosh, it exploded, I mean, she wanted him out doing pool fencing, and I mean, it was just no longer a thing now. So part of, if you're going to do rev share or profit sharing of some sort, you have to get the whole picture.
Get the agreements in place.
Who else is involved? Well, what's Bob do? Well, Bob's my partner. Well, what's Bob do? Is Bob going to become an issue? Right. Get Bob on the phone. We all need to talk. So, okay. So anyways, but but that typically happens after a few months of the relationship. And it also, when they finally ask me, what can I do more? That's when we start talking rev share.
I love that. Okay.
One of the big things I'm really adamant about is that, my job is not the SEO guy. I'm a lead generator. I'm a brand builder. So, if I make a suggestion to you to run Bing ads for 2 months, you're going to run Bing ads for 2 months because there's a purpose for that. Then I would never suggest anything that I didn't believe would bring an ROI.
You would literally suggest, what if this was your business, what would you be doing right now that you need that? Got it. How is your client reporting like, Terry? Is it reports wise, once a month communication, or is it more often than that, email communication, or
I have a customized dashboard they get a username and password to, that they can log in and see what tasks my staff is completing. They can see real-time data as far as traffic and all the stuff that we track. We have at least a monthly strategy call, if not every 2 weeks for the first couple months. I really make them uncomfortable, especially in the home services business. You know, I've taken on roofers that don't talk to people, and I'm like, well, that's changes. You're going to talk to me, or I'm not going to help you. That's the bottom line. So, and again, I'm at a place in my business I can do that. You know, you know, we've all been there. Is just I need $1,500. Yeah, I'll take it. Man, come on, just give it to me. Yeah, come on. You know, but I'm a little more rigid now because I like and love helping people. You know, I really do. And like I said, a lot of it comes through white label. A lot of it'll come through, you know, hey, I've had this, you know, I've had 3 or 4 different agencies look at this. I'm stuck, I'm falling, whatever. And they kind of have to do it my way. You know, I don't deal with IT companies. If there's an IT company or another web designer in the middle of it, I'm not your guy. So,
yeah, exactly. We've all been through that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not going to get permission to make a change for your website. That's not going to happen. If it needs to change, it needs to change.
Couple of more questions. I don't want to take too much of your time. Any tool or platform that you can't live without, or you use every day, or you recommend people using?
I think definitely for the GBP side, LeadSnap is a life changer for us. Again, with the maps, I used to cringe at night with my staff having to log in to work in a map, whether it be posting or, you know, answering questions, whatever. Well, LeadSnap solves that. So they just log into LeadSnap and they can work on their GBP.
Is that Patrick's?
Yep, that's Patrick's. Yeah. But it was a real lifesaver. I can also lock down the location so people can't change the phone number and all that crap that we all deal with.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so that's probably, as an agency owner, my favorite tool, just because of the comfort it gives me. And then I'm using a new tool called �zitzta, ZIZTA. It's another AI tool, but it's pretty freaking cool. It's the same guy that bought topicalrelevance.com. He built a tool around that whole system. So it's a pretty cool system. I don't typically use SEMrush, Ahrefs, all those anymore, just because of cost. They got too, especially Ahrefs. You know, I had the $199 plan. And I think my costs were between $400 and $700 a month.
Ahrefs is, I've been using Ahrefs for the longest time. But I looked into other tools too. I somehow still like Ahrefs, and I'm paying a lot for that. I should look into that.
Yeah, but I like it too. I just, you know, again, as a forecaster, I can't forecast that dollar amount. I do like Search Atlas for a lot of that type of stuff, you know, links and stuff like that. I like Search Atlas for. But yeah, I mean, I get a lot of people send me a lot of tools to test, you know, so that's one of the things I like doing, is finding stuff that's pretty cool. I think the biggest thing as far, I'm an SEO Power Suite guy. I think a lot of us old guys are SEO Power Suites because, you know, that's where I do all my link research and all the stuff through there. But I love, like, you know, you see, what do I have here? NetPeak Spider is my favorite audit tool. Sitebulb's another favorite audit tool. I like Sitebulb a lot. Cognitive SEO I like for links.
Those. Sometimes I think if somebody built one tool for all of these SEO tasks, right? That's going to be a big business.
It is. And, you know, but I think it's even worse on the ranking side, you know, especially local. I mean, gee whiz, it's the differences between all the little local ones. And I've got 3 of them. You know, I bounce, you know, Patrick's tool off of Eldar's tool, off of Mark's tool, you know, but again, I tell people, my clients, is like, look, I'm in Tempe. I have a tool that tells me you're blah, blah, blah. We don't get into conversations that I just Googled myself on the toilet and I'm number 4 and not number 1, like you say. And I'm like, well, that's what we talked about at the very beginning.
Right.
One of the first things I get my clients off of is ranking, because that's the area nobody can control. Traffic, conversions, leads, that's what we talk about.
Right.
So is ranking a part of that? Sure. But I'm not going to get in an argument about, second and fourth, fifth, ninth. That's, if you want that type of stuff, go get a package from overseas and have fun.
So that brings us to maybe one last question. What would you suggest somebody just starting with SEO? Maybe it's somebody getting into SEO. Maybe it's a business owner looking for SEO. What do you think they should focus on? Or maybe I should rephrase it as, looking back at your journey, what would you have done differently? Any advice, with your 10 years of experience in this business, in this industry, and seen so many people and seen all the ups and downs that we all go through, parting words of wisdom, anything at all?
Gosh, it's changed so much. Obviously content, the content's got to be gold. And especially around the about page, talking about, authority and trust is a real thing. It's, if you're not building a brand, in everything that you do, then you're going to struggle, because that authority and trust, I think, is the one thing that the search engines can get better at. There's stuff they look for in that. But I think really the biggest thing with SEO is starts off with the website. I'm starting to get a bunch of people that send me these high-level websites to rank, and I'm like, you can't do the same thing. Okay. I'm a coder. I want access to the code. That's why I like WordPress. And it took my developer a year to get me to go to WordPress, because I was HTML. I'm a code guy. So if you give me a high-level site that I can't install my schema on, we got a problem. And same thing with, Shopify and all those type of platforms. But I tell people that build your own website. If you're a business owner, go out and find people. Look at my stuff. I mean, there's a bunch of people out there that have a bunch of videos about things around content and around, making sure that you're writing the right way, you're including the right number of words, all the different things that Google's expecting. The sad thing is you can't go to Google, or you can't go to Facebook groups and get it, because I don't even comment in Facebook groups anymore, because it's just an argument. I mean, these people don't test, they don't do anything. And when I come in and say, oh, you should be doing it this way, and then all of a sudden you're the biggest POS in the planet because you gave good advice. So, but I think you can. There's some stuff in there with YouTube, but just remember, everything you have to take with a grain of salt. So don't learn something or see something and implement it, especially on a client site. You have to test it. Even if it's from me. Even in my class, I teach a class, it's a 7-week class. Even in my class, every single class, it's like, test it. I'm showing you what works for us in our situations, but you might have a different theme. You might have a different, there's all kinds of things that can mess with your SEO.
All the pieces of the puzzle, we don't know what,
Exactly. So, but again, the biggest thing that we have to pay attention to is crawl. When we do get it, when it's our turn, we need to make sure that it's crawling what we want to crawl. My big tip: make sure your sitemap is set to last modified. Most sitemaps out of default are set alphabetically, so your about page gets hit every single time.
That's actually a good point. Wow.
If you do it to last modified, then that's going to be the top of your sitemap.
I'm actually going to make a note of that. Wow, that's I didn't even think of that.
So, and again, we can argue about, do they pay attention to robot.txt and sitemaps and blah blah blah. I personally think they do, because I think that's the old code. I don't think a lot of people got to understand, especially from a code standpoint, Google algorithm for organics is junk upon junk upon junk upon junk upon junk. And the 3 departments, ads, maps, and organic, don't talk to each other. So, that's why we always see when there's an algo update and something that worked a year ago now works again. All that stuff's because of updates. you know.
Awesome. No, love it. No, I could continue talking about AI and schema and all the technical stuff. One thing I'm asking every single person I'm interviewing for this part of this charity, this fundraising thing, Terry, and we can edit this out if you don't agree or don't want to know anything, is there anything? So I'm going to package all the interviews at a low price point, probably $47, I'm thinking, so they can donate $47, they get everything, right? Just from this, our conversation, I'm sure they learned about AI and ChatGPT and whatever else we discussed, right? They can go learn, or your university.net. But is there anything for if they donate a little bit more? I'm asking everybody here who I'm interviewing, is there anything you can, in terms of your time or your training or resources or software or anything that you can give, donate if somebody donates a higher price, this thing. So it could be any past trainings
Yeah,
of
I
yours,
can.
software, whatever.
Yeah, there's a couple things. So, I can do two coaching sessions or, two coaching sessions a month for 60 minutes for two people, not the same people.
Okay.
I can do that. I can also give a coupon code to SEO Spring Training, which is in May next year in Arizona.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, there's a couple things I can do. I don't mind giving up my time or stuff like that at all.
I appreciate that. No,
So
these two are good. I don't want to take too much. And again, if there's anything I can do in my Facebook group or me personally or my agency, anyway, as a matter of fact, this is what I saw last time when I did the 3-4 years ago, this charity. Like I know Herc, he gave away some credits to his software.
yeah.
And then out of that, you will get a lot more clients. So, obviously, whatever you give comes back. It may not come back right now, but you know how it is. The world is abundant, right? So I love that. I'm going to put it in here. So it's a coupon code for spring training. Is that what it is?
Yep, coupon code for spring training, and then I'll give two people an hour of my time.
Wow, that is so gracious. I truly appreciate that. Wow. And can you give some insights into the spring training so people understand what is it? Is it a live thing? Is it a
Yep, it's a live thing in Arizona every year. In May, it'll be the first week in May 1st through the 4th. And it's a whole week thing. So we've got workshops planned, like Marty Marion's going to do a workshop. I mean, so we've got people coming in early to do workshops. As far as SEO events in the States, it's the one you don't want to miss. So
awesome.
We bring in speakers from Herc's speaking this year. So I can tell you that. I'm not going to tell you more, but but we bring in people and we break. It's not just a conference sitting in a room for 8 days, because we have breakout rooms. So we have a morning stage session, and then the afternoon, if you want to learn about AI, we have a specific room for that and speakers for that. If you want to learn about automation, we're going to have a room for automation, and you can learn about automation. So it's not just SEO, because if you're not looking at AI and automation in your processes, you're getting way behind. And my whole goal for Soltera by the end of December is to be at least 70% automated in my agency. And so I think that all of us have to do that, and that includes, like, my whole onboarding process is automated. So as soon as somebody pays the bill, it's all taken care of. So
this is awesome. Love it. I personally never been to any SEO conference. That's something I've never done. I always decline people invitations. The only time I accepted was William John's in Philippines. It was last month, and then 3 days before my aunt passes away. It was crazy.
That's a bummer.
I'm more of a private person, but I think I should come out and check out your spring training if it's not just SEO and it's got a lot more. I love that.
It's got a lot more, because I think you have to do, again, if you just do SEO nowadays, you're going to be left behind.
Absolutely. Yep. We are doing that. We are more into kind of building a brand, video, stuff like that, and automation for sure. Because a lot of the business owners, they need automation. They don't even know that.
They don't even have a clue. And if you can become, again, I'm so entrenched with a lot of my clients, it's going to take pretty much an act of God to get rid of me, because I sit on I've got two big medical facilities that I sit on their board.
Wow.
I'm the marketing guy on the board, and I love fighting with bankers and all these, what I call.
Where do you get time for anything else? I mean, you got a good agency plus all this and the time with the clients.
And that is now the problem. So like today, I don't know what happened. I've literally got 7 calls today, and I try to keep it around 3 a day just because everything else is going. But I also like working weekends. That's when I can get caught up and work on my own stuff.
Right.
And, work on automation, stuff like that, stuff I enjoy. But yeah, it is one of the things I need to get myself out of for sure.
I love it. I truly thank you, Terry. I plan to launch the whole thing end of this month, October. So I'll put in there 2 people, 1 hour coaching calls. Or I can even split it to 4 people, 30 minutes if it's okay with you.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
And then the coupon code for the spring training. And I'm sure this just in my group is 10,000 people. And when I interview you and other people, it's probably going to go to other people's groups. You're going to get a lot more business. And I hope you get that. And I pray, because you are a good man. I can see you just gave away everything. You did not hold back anything, right? But truly, I appreciate your friendship. I thank you for your time again. Okay, thanks again, Terry.
Thank you. It's been awesome.